Hi, and welcome back. We have before us the final polish of the calcite, and what we have here, let's dry it off. That is the shine that we have. I really thought that this would look more like it does when it's wet. So that's a learning curve for me. See that satin shimmer? I lost a little bit of focus. The blue, I don't know if the blue has more mica. I don't know. There's something in there that causes the blue to have a lot of flash. And then, of course, it's still a little damp. Let's dry it off. You see that flash right there? It's very pretty. This is the blue calcite, obviously. Orange calcite. It's so smooth. Piece of the green. Looks like a divot, but it really isn't. There's something there. It's just the way that it sparkles. So wet. I don't know, I just think they look nicer wet. Well, calcite does not shine up. It does not polish up like a Jasper would, so you're not going to get that lovely glassy finish, no matter how hard you try. This one looked like it broke right off. Look at that. Is that a window? Is that what they call that? Still polished lovely. And this could be the piece that broke off. And it got rounded and polished. Lots of orange. The orange looks larger because it was put in a later batch. I don't know. Or maybe the orange just holds its shape better. Very nice. Okay. Lots of tiny pieces here. Now, these are the ones that we were able to actually finish, and then we have a repair barrel going on. We're going to see how we're doing with that next. Now, all this ceramic media was went through the entire process, and I think what we're going to do now is keep this set aside as polish media, because you really don't want to put I'm losing my train of thought, I'm sorry. You don't want to put brand new media in a polish stage because it's still a little too sharp and it could scratch. These little pieces here could scratch the final product. And now it's been rounded off through the polish stage to where it's just going to help, you know, move things around. It's going to act as a filler. It's going to act as a cushion. And the polish, you know, I mean, it's not going to scratch our stones. So we're going to keep this, we're going to put this in a separate container and leave it for the next item that's ready to go to polish, which is going to be a little while. Okay, let's check out the next barrel, which, by the way, this freed up a barrel, so we're going to start something new in it. But let's check out the repair barrel, because it's also calcite, and we'll see if we have anything else that we're ready to move forward. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, here's our final finished calcite, orange, blue, and green from our first run that didn't have to go into the repair barrel. And you notice we only had 2 blue pieces. The rest of the blue is in the repair barrel. Looks like it's much harder to work with. It chips and bruises and cracks a lot easier than the orange and the green. So this was labeled emerald green when I purchased the rough, and I don't know if I'd consider that an emerald color or not. I mean, it's kind of like a light green. But yeah, this is what we have now. Oh, we're getting shadow. Oh, we're still getting shadow. Just lovely. I really, really wish they had the shine that they did when they're wet, but calcite just doesn't get the, I mean, it gets a nice matte shine, but it just does not, gosh, it feels so smooth. It just doesn't get the wet look. I know I keep talking about the wet look, so I brought a spray bottle. And you can see the difference. Dry, wet. Ooh, this was lovely. Just lovely. Okay, I think overall with our calcite experiment we learned to be careful and don't rush it, to not put in as much coarse grit as I originally did because it ground away way too much mass, to watch the stages and separate out what is bruising and cracking and showing problems, and it's never going to get that wet look. I mean, this was in polish for 15 days, So that's, you know, like almost 3 weeks. No, I'm sorry, that's 2 weeks. So, I don't know. Will I do calcite again? Yes. It is very satisfying, the whole process. I just might try a dry polish next time. I used tin oxide for this one. I might also use an aluminum oxide, which is pretty common in the United States. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to give us the shine that we really want, if anything. So yes, I will do it again. I will use different polishes. I even have a cerium oxide that's arriving soon. So, and I do have more calcite rough. So we'll try it out and we'll see what kind of a finish we get. Okay, we're gonna look at the repair barrel, go through and set it up to its next stage. I don't think I'm gonna show that. You know, you've seen it before, and we're just gonna move forward with that. And we have 5 other barrels with agates and jaspers, so we're going to want to move on and see where we're at with that. Currently everything's in the rough stage, and it's finished its 2nd week in rough in the 60-90. So we're going to see if the things need the third week or not. So we will be back with those momentarily, possibly on another video. Have a nice week. Okay, we are back with our Serape Jasper, and it has spent 2 weeks in course, and as you can see, we still have some shaping to do. There's a lot of pits and whatever, and we want to make sure that we have all the grit out. It's more important if we switch it to another phase, but this is going to have to go in course for a 3rd week. Look at how pretty these are getting. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look at that. But you can see right here, it's going to need some shaping. It got bruised. Maybe a little bit more ceramic media would be called for. So let's see. That is the wrong barrel. This is going to go back into our Serape Jasper barrel. So let's just put it back in there. What we want to look for is any real problems. And being in the coarse stage, I'm not so concerned. Boy, these are turning out really pretty. But it needs more shaping. Dry on it. We don't want them to dry because we don't want the grit to cement into the little crevices and cracks and valleys and crannies and everything else you want to call it. That's going to be really pretty. It's going to need more shaping though. This was the dark one. There's a crack right here. I don't believe it's going to cause us any trouble other than a potential place for grit to be caught. Oh, here's another one. This is when we talk about taking a toothbrush, we just dip it in some water, scrub it out. Alright, yeah, this is definitely going in for a 3rd week in course. This is the one where we had the error. We had overfilled the barrel and it didn't move, so technically it's going into its 4th week because the 1st week there was absolutely 0 movement. I mean, even the grit didn't move. It's going to be interesting with the red on the bottom of it there. Red Jasper. Can you see that? It's rather interesting. I was originally hoping it would grind off, but now I think it's really cool. just gonna find little places. Okay, 2 more pieces here. And it doesn't really seem like a whole lot because these are really large and I wanted them to stay really super large. Oh, this one's gonna be a problem. There's no way all this is gonna grind down in another week. But depending on where the rest of the stones are, I mean, it's like I can feel, it's like I almost want to break that off. This, I think, is my favorite out of this one. I love the sweep here. I kind of like the shape. It kind of looks like a shoe. Kind of like a shoe. I think it's kind of neat. There's some pieces on this side that have got some deep crevices. Not really that deep. Okay, that's it for the Serape Jasper. We're going to put it all back in here. We're going to use all this lovely ceramic media back in. I think we're going to add some additional cushioning here because we had some come off. Oh, what do we have here inside? We have a chip. Alright, we are not going to put that back in there because we have a project with chips. This is going to go be set aside. If we continue to tumble that, it's just going to be nothing. Any more chips? No, that looks like it was the only one. Oh, got lucky there. Okay, this one's going to be ready for a fourth technically, week of course. We're going to use the 60-90. See where we go from there. We'll revisit this one in another week. It's like there's so much to still shape on these that it might even go an additional week after this coming up one. Okay. As you can see, we do not have 2/3 of a barrel. So we could either add another piece in here, which kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion, because then we've got one piece that isn't ready and we've got the rest that are, and it just makes managing it a pain in the ass. I'm just going to add more ceramic media. So I'm going to add some large to fill this up because we have enough small in there to get into all the crannies, so I'm not really all that worried about that. I definitely want to add some more. Alright, we're going to add some more ceramic media, we're going to add some more coarse, and then this one's going to go back, and then water, and it's going to go back on the tumbler. Now the next one we have here is our Botswana Jasper. I'm sorry, agate. Botswana agate. And it had just almost no ceramic media in there because the barrel was quite full with these. Now this is very interesting. You would think that this is dirt, but what it really is, it looks like tree agate. It's got that dark green color. See, nothing's coming. You can almost see that. Can you see that green? Let's bring in a brighter color. Let's see, can you see the green on there? Nice chunks of green. Oh, ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Lots of green in here. There's a lot of pitting. Botswana Agate. Again, we want to keep it wet. That's really pretty. Okay, Botswana Agate. Let's see what we're doing. This is going to definitely go for another week, possibly 2 weeks. It has so much shaping that needs to be done. This rough has a lot of pitting, as you can see here. All these little places, all these little pits to catch grit. We want this to smooth out. I might even take the tile saw and smooth that out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we get anywhere else. Some really interesting pieces. This one's kind of a milky red. It's got just beautiful banding. That's a great big crevice that can catch some grit. More pitting on this one. Agates are getting, and I know that they're very plentiful, but they're getting harder and harder to find locally. And the ones that you're able to find locally, and by local I mean Michigan, is they're so tiny. You're not able to find really good size agates. This is amazing. Look at that. Almost looks like a seashell. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. That's beautiful. Doesn't really seem to be a lot of grit. It looks like it got, overall rinsed pretty well. I'm not finding any grit coming. Oh, this is nasty. Just heavy pitting. This rock may never, this agate may never come to much without some other help. Either smoothing with a Dremel or smoothing with a tile saw. It may have to be in for a very long time if we don't give it some additional help. But we'll see what one more week in course does. You never know. You never know. This is absolutely stunning. Orange is my favorite color. And, wow. I'm really drawn to red rocks and oranges and peaches. Oh, just look at that. I might keep this one for me. Wow. Hope it turns out. I hope we can get rid of these blemishes. There's another pretty piece. No, it's nothing. Ooh! It's always fun when you turn them over and get a good surprise. Mostly what I'm finding are deep crevices and pitting. So now that we've lost a lot of mass and this container is so much less full than before, we're going to add more ceramic media to the mix to help the grit get to where it needs to go and have more cushioning. And yeah, look at the banding. Some of these are starting to dry, and we don't want them to dry because we don't want the grit to become like cement. I'm not finding a lot of grit left over. These are not on the surface. These little dots are down a layer. Let's see. You see that? How they're down a layer. That's really cool. As you can see, we get a nice variety of color. It's almost like you want to scratch that out, but it doesn't come out. It's just natural to the stone. But look, isn't this pretty? Look at the way that it curves. So you've got this, almost like a chevron. And then it curves around with the stone. How amazing is that? Wow. There's a darker one. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, this is most definitely going for another week. Oh, look at that. Just layers and layers and layers. Just think of all the years it took to create that. So it might be host rock that needs to come off. It looks different than that green agate from before, but this is a beautiful peach. Again, there's pitting on the surface of this. Little circles. You see circles right there. Oh, this must have been a chip. They broke off another piece. But look at how lovely. You wouldn't think, looking at this, that this stunning pattern would be inside. Wow, kind of took my breath away a little bit. Okay, so this is the Botswana Agate, and like the Serape Jasper, they're both going back in for another week in course, 60-90. I'm kind of thinking this will probably have several more weeks. You know what? I'm kind of thinking, oh, isn't it pretty? Look at that. I'm kind of thinking I might bring it down and go to a 46-70. But I also don't want to chew away too much stone. I think I should have started with the coarser course. Oh, that looks like it would split. Check that out. Okay. So, when you turn it, it looks like you could just split it right out of there. Okay, we have many more barrels to get to, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back with Kambaba Jasper. This has been in course for 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, it is just absolutely stunning. It feels like glass, at least this piece. It's amazing. I would say this one is ready to go on to medium. This one still has a little issue with it right here. Might require, and then there's a nice little crevice here. Fingernail sinks into it, so we're going to want to continue to shape that one. Okay, this one has a divot, but it feels really good. There's, yeah, back in course. I don't really think so far this is going to need a whole nother week in course. Just a few more days. I don't know. Maybe 4 days. Dang, look at that. That's stunning. Let me adjust the camera. See if you can see that better. You see what it looks like when it's dry and when it's wet. As we spoke before, we don't want it to be dry because we're trying to get all the grit out of it, but it's going back in course, so it really doesn't matter on this particular run. If it was going into a finer grade, we don't want any cross contamination. So this is almost ready to go on to medium. I think this piece is definitely ready to go to medium. They just have like that one little spot. White Jasper is a lot of fun. Now, as opposed to our Serape Jasper, which was having all kinds of problems, this seems to be moving fairly quickly. Just a couple little tiny, maybe 3 days is all it's going to need. I wonder if I could just move it to medium and the rest of this would come out. But you know what they say about rushing, you gotta start over. So we're gonna learn patience. Yeah. Yeah. While this is smooth, it's still kind of pointy. There's crevices. And there's a little pit. There's no pits on this one. It's ready for medium. Wow. There's several little pits on this particular piece. Amazing how the color changes when they get wet. It's just like a little tiny miracle every time. That is definitely a grit catcher. Yeah. It just glides like glass. Interested to see just how much smoother it can actually get. Good grief, this is wonderful. Look at that. Wow. There's just a couple little... Wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to put it all in. Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of chips here. But the mass really did come down quite a bit. I mean, they were all fairly large, and now not so much. why I always like to start with large rough, because I know I'm going to lose so much. I'm really torn. These are like half and half. Half ready for medium, half just need a few more days in course. But we're going to put it in course. Okay, now let's look through. Ooh. How thin that is. Sorry about that. That is super thin. I hope it doesn't break all apart, but it might. So what we're looking for now are those little tiny chips that are going to cause a problem. I'm not seeing any. It's not really easy on a green background, but old car towels work good for this. Okay, all of this ceramic media looks good. I don't see any more chips in it. So we're going to put it back in the barrel. And I believe we're going to add quite a bit more because we lost so much volume. And we do not want to bruise our Jasper. Okay. So, let's see what else. We've got yellow Jasper, and then we've got gold and blue tiger's eye. And that'll be it for the barrels for this week. So this is going to go back into course. So that's the Serape Jasper, the Botswana Agate, and the Kambaba Jasper. For sure, all three moving to staying in course. It's not moving anywhere, it's staying right where it is. Give it a shake, and you can see the barrel's not even really half full. No, it is half full, so let's just add our course. Get some more ceramic media. Okay. Let's add some small. I'm getting handfuls. I could probably move this down to a smaller barrel, but I don't have one free. Okay, let's add water. Okay. We're done. Alright, we'll see you in the next two. Okay, we're back to our yellow Jasper. It has been in course 60-90 for 2 weeks, and we're going to take a peek at it and we're going to see how it's doing here. So it's starting to dry a little bit. It's rather hot today. This is it looks like a crevice. It's not that deep, but there's a lot of breakage on this one. Not sure what's going to happen, if this is going to break down or not. But we're going to find out. So it looks like the yellow jasper is not moving quite as good as the Kambaba. You can see there's deeper pits. There's more shaping that needs to be done. Lots of crevices. I mean, it's really a nifty shape there. But there's a lot that needs to be worked. So definitely going in for a 3rd week. Yeah, definitely going in for a 3rd week. Okay, I'm going to move through these rather quickly. See, this might even go for 4 weeks. But we'll see if next week there's a lot of improvement. So for the 2 weeks it's been in, see, it's just not as smooth as the Kambaba Jasper was. It's just because it's Jasper doesn't mean it's going to move along at the same pace. As we saw with the Serape and the Kambaba, it's completely too different, and now the yellow Jasper, again, completely different. Some smooth spots, but yeah. Okay, so we're going to get this prepared. And as you can see, we have a lot. This is in our 6-pound barrel. We have some interesting pieces. This one is very pitted. I don't hold out a lot of hope for this particular stone. These microfine pits on the side. But other pieces are fine. This almost looks like paint coming off, doesn't it? That's really interesting. Wow, look at the pattern on that one. Ooh, busy. Yeah, there's a lot of shaping that still needs to be done. Just kind of moving through these really quickly because we already know what's going back in 60-90. Look at that. So I'm going to chop the chips and move this into another week of course. Alrighty. Yeah, you see that one needs a lot of shaping still. Wow. Look at that. That looks like a crack. Let's see if we can get the focus here. But it's not. Your finger runs right over it. Ooh. Pretty cool. This little pebble doesn't look like it's going to do anything, but we'll leave it in there. This one's smooth, but again, lots of shaping. It's almost like coral. right in here. There's some tiny pieces that broke off. Good there. Even you can see even the ceramic media seems to have dyed yellow a tiny bit, but once we wash it, it'll all come right out. Once it comes through a wash cycle, but oof, lots to do on that stone. Okay. Yeah, see there's some chips in here. Need to pull those out. That's very interesting. Piece of the host rock left. Okay, any more chips? Yep. These little tiny buggers will absolutely ruin the entire batch. They will bruise and scratch and cause havoc. So we're just coming through here, trying to find it all, because we do not want that to go back into the barrel. I'm going to dump this out and give it a finer look, and then we're going to recharge the barrel. Okay, we'll see you next week. Okay, we are back with Amazonite, or Amazonite. I'm not sure which pronunciation is correct. So this is in the rough. This is what it looks like here. Now let's add a little bit of water to see what it looks like wet. Okay. Whew. Pretty. So this is going to be our next barrel. So we're starting something new today. So you can see it's already got a lot of, I think that's mica that's doing the sheen. I don't really know. Some of this looks like it might be a little bit of pyrite on some of these. There's another one on here. I don't know, black tourmaline maybe? Not really sure. I'm gonna have to look it up. So all of these little lovelies are gonna go in our barrel. And we're going to start our Amazonite. Okay. Let's see, what do we have now? Don't know if you can see that. Well, it helps with a little light. We're about 2/3 full. We're going to add some ceramic media. We're going to add 60-90 coarse grit and a tiny bit of baking soda, and we're going to get this started, and then we'll check on it next week. So, new barrel, new stuff. Look at all that. Let's just take wet toothbrush. Whoops. There. Get this to focus. It's pretty green color. Very nice. Alright, here we go. See you soon. Okay, we're back with our tiger's eye, and it has been, oh gosh, it's been running since the 12th of August, and today's the 28th. So this was in coarse grit. Look at that shine. It's starting to dry just a little bit. We don't want that, so let's give it a little soak down. it's still full of grit. We don't want it to harden. Okay. This kind of ran a little bit longer. Time got away from me. And as we can see, this still has a way to go. There's a lot, it's almost ready, but there's still some work that needs to be done on this. This is the golden tiger eye. There's still some spots we'd like to bring down. There's some spots here too that are issues. So I'm trying to decide if this is going to need another week or another few days in course. This is the blue tiger's eye. I think they call it eagle's eye if I'm not mistaken. Still needs some work. And instead of rushing it to put it into medium, I think we can put it back into coarse just for a little bit longer. You can see the issues we have here. Here's a little crack. There's one there. Beautiful pieces. We held a lot of the mass, so I'm pretty tickled. Oh my goodness, look at that. Yeah, these are going to have to go in for another week in course, and then we'll be able to move it to medium. I was thinking it'd be ready today, but it's not, and that's fine. I don't want to rush it because I don't want to ruin it. Wow, look at that. Let's see. There's just some more issues in here. Even the ceramic media has turned a little yellow, but once we put it through a wash, once we put it through a wash, that will all clean up. I am not going to put these through a wash because I'm putting them back into a course, but we will recharge the barrel because we cleaned it all out in the hopes that we'll be moving forward. But that's okay, that's why we check these. So again, this went in on August 12th. Today is the 28th. And I did not recharge the barrel in between. I ran out of time the other day. And just let it run. Okay. It's getting really smooth. The corners are nice, but there's just a few spots that need to be worn down a bit more. I just want it shaped a little bit better. I want to get rid of the last bit of these little crevices. Well, right there's a crack, so that wouldn't be able to move forward anywhere. There, that's a chip, so in here somewhere you must have that chip. Came off. Let's see if we can locate it. Oh, interesting. That needs a lot of work. Okay, where's that chip? I know it's got to be in here. Do you see it? There's a lot of big pieces in this one. And one roll away from us. See, even the ceramic media can have pitting where it can hold grit. So you know what? I'm going to get rid of that piece of ceramic media. No sense in biting trouble. And that's just a mark, not a pit. Let's see. Our tiger eye chip. This is half blue and half golden. That's going to be interesting. Wow. Well, so far I'm only seeing one that has an actual chip taken out of it. If we were moving forward, I would have to hold that piece back, because there's no way we can run that in with sharp edges into medium, because that'll scratch up the rest of the stones. I'll keep this one apart. You see? Here's a chip right here. It's kind of small to be the one from here, and this little chip is too small, so you can see those. But this one looks like it came out of a blue stone. So we've got these chips and we're setting them aside for another project. But somewhere in here we have to have the chip. See, one of those small ones could have come out of that corner on this one. Okay, let's see what we've got here. It's got some really rough feeling stone there. Can you see that? Let me dry it off. You see how rough that is? All of this here, as opposed to how smooth that is. Yeah. One more week ought to do it. We're just checking for damage. It is really super hot and humid today. See, here's another one that came off the corner. So we've got two of these here. Set those aside. We're just kind of feeling for chips. Again, I'm not being super careful because it's going back into coarse. If this was going to medium, would be taking a lot more time checking these for any imperfections that we don't want the batch spoiled. So you see that? That's what, you know, just in coarse. And it's got a really beautiful sheen, and when it's wet, it's just amazing. Oh, beautiful. That's not a chip, that's the actual stone. But I'd like to have that come down some. Okay, so it really looks like only two pieces got, whoa, but that broke off of something. Really only have a couple that chipped. And the part that chipped off could have actually just ground to dust. Not really finding the chips. I was hoping to find them all so they don't go through the next cycle. But again, it's coarse, so we should be fine. Okay, we are going to stick these back in. And we're just going to dump our ceramic media back in the bowl. Oh, look at that. Look at what we found here by rolling it. That's that piece that came off the blue one. Set that aside. See, and I'm checking it as it rolls. There's always one that's going to get away. See what we found here? There's a little piece of something. Shouldn't be going in. Okay. Give it a shake. Okay, we're going to put our coarse material back in here. It's our 6090 silicone carbide. And this is a 6-pound barrel. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a 3-pound barrel would need 4 tablespoons, so this is going to need 8. So we're going to add 2 more. Okay. Close up our ceramic meat, or our coarse grit. We're going to add some water. Oh, out of water. Let me get some more. I'll be right back. As I mentioned before, we're adding just regular tap water for the coarse and medium stage, and then we're going to go to distilled water for our finer grits, because we don't want any, you know, the fluoride and calcium and everything else that's in our tap water to go into our tumble. Okay, that, we're going to need some more ceramic media. Because this is not even, this is still under 2/3 full. And with all the mass that we lost last time, some small. It really should just come mixed, but they sell it separately. Okay, this looks good. Let's put the lid on it. Right up in your face here. We're just going to set this aside for now. And let's take a look at our calcite that we had in our repair barrel. Let's see how we're doing here. This went through. Now last week I was supposed to put it through medium, screwed up, put in more coarse. So, yay team, went through an extra 4 days of coarse. So let's see, how are we doing here? Much better. Oh, so much better. I mean, I thought it was good last week, but this is just amazing. Okay, this is going to be ready for a wash cycle, and then we're going to move it to medium for reels. Oh, lost our focus there. Okay, oh, look at how much nicer these blue stones are. Let's see, are we getting any? Lots of sparkle left. Okay, the green ones are looking lovely. We really did lose so much mass with the green. Lost a lot of... The problem with the calcite was the blue, because it was more fracturable than the other calcites. And I wonder, I'm going to have to do some research and find out why that is, because you think calcite's calcite, right? Okay, this is all looking absolutely perfect to move forward. So, wash cycle. The orange seemed to hold its mass the best. A little tiny piece there. I've been watching it. Okay, we're going to put this in back in our barrel. We're going to make it a good wash cycle for probably 2 hours to make sure we get all that coarse grit from everywhere. And then we'll put it in medium and we'll let it sit in there for 4 or 5 days. And it should be good. Alright, thanks for watching and we'll see you next week.